Okay, great. All right. Okay, well, welcome. Hopefully everybody can hear and see what we're kind of going to be up to today. So excited to have you guys all here. My name is Jackie Iomo-Jones. I work for CDE and I am a program education consultant for ag education. Thrilled to have you guys here today. We're going to be doing something a little bit different compared to most webinars. Instead of having it where it's more of us talking, it's me more of us actually engaging and doing some really cool interactive activities together. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get going. Okay, so for our agenda real quick, we're gonna do some quick introductions on who we have on the call today as our co-hosts and panelists. We're gonna go over the backbone of an engaging and effective leadership activity. We'll also be going into tools and strategies that you can go ahead and utilize and use. You're also going to be creating your own virtual leadership activity today. And lastly, we are going to be discussing CTSO resources as well as updates. All right, so just for introduction purposes, again, I already kind of introduced myself, so I'll have the rest introduce themselves. So Molly, you're the first one on there. If you want to jump in and kind of introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Molly Anderson. Similar job to Jackie. I'm a education programs consultant with the CTE, California Department of Ed. So I oversee 2 industry sectors, and that's marketing, sales and services, and business. And then I also do the 2 CTSOs that correspond to those industry sectors. So DECA and FCCLA. And just real quick, my background is classroom teacher. So for 25 years, I was in the same seat that most of you are, comprehensive high school business teacher and FCCLA advisor before going into administration.
Great. And then Melissa, you're next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Webb. I've been at the California Department of Education for 10 years. I was a former family and consumer sciences teacher for 15 years. I service the industry sectors, education, child development, family services, fashion and interior design, and hospitality, tourism, and recreation. I'm the state advisor for California FCCLA, and I applaud all of you for being on the call today. Thank you for being here. It's like over 240 people, so thank you, because this is some good information you're going to get today.
Okay, and Tara?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Tara Nielsen. I'm also an education programs consultant at the California Department of Education. I'm the state advisor for Skills USA California. And my background is also teaching, and I was a Skills USA advisor before coming to the state of California. So welcome, everybody.
Great. Awesome. Thank you guys again for being on the call today. We'll be hearing from each of them a little bit later on during this webinar. Again, like I said before, Jackie Iomo-Jones. Before I started working for CDE, I was an ag educator for about 10 years. And also during those 10 years, I was also like a technology assistant for each of the districts that I worked at. So I'm thrilled to be able to share a lot of this information with you guys today. And I'm really excited to see what you can do with this info with your own programs as well as with your students. So to start this off, we're going to do a really quick poll to see what you feel are some key components when you have to create a successful virtual leadership activity. So to do this, you'll have to go to pollev.com, enter in, and that's IOIMO 330, and you're going to go ahead and respond. You should be able to go ahead and type in as many words as you would like, but again, what are some key components or things that you feel are necessary when planning a effective and engaging virtual leadership activity? So I'll give you guys some time to type in your responses. And then kind of looking at some of the questions that are populating on the chat. People are asking about the slides being sent to them. We are going to be going ahead and we are going to be sending you that information. We're recording all of this as well, so you'll have access to the recording, and you'll also see that you're going to be getting something a little extra in the next couple minutes that you can actually be taking home with you and utilize for your future leadership activities. All right. Get in there. So far, we're seeing excitement, engagement. Nice. Yeah, students want things to be fun. And they want to make sure too that they access technology for sure. Yes, inclusion is huge. Thank you for writing that.
Jackie, did you see that? And they're asking for the
Oh,
poll
for the
information again, like how to get in again.
Of course. Go on, actually. There's the poll information again. I can't highlight that. There used to be a QR code that was with that. For some reason, it disappeared, so I do apologize. Okay, looks like about 40 responses. So we're going to go ahead and kind of take, again, a look at what they typed in. This might kind of repeat some of the ones that they had before. And if for some reason yours doesn't show up on the screen, if you want to type it into the chat, feel free to type it into the chat. That's not a problem at all. Oh yes, structured steps and clear directions. That's huge, especially now since we're doing virtual learning. Great. Okay, so as they're slowly coming in, we can see the similarity that's happening here. We hear the word engagement, we hear the word inclusion. We're wanting things to be easy and very accessible to our students, and hopefully their technology is there for them to be able to do that. We want to make sure that it's fun for them. We want to make sure we're also having them practice leadership strategies virtually. That's a big plus. And also making sure it's on multiple formats and multiple platforms, which we'll be getting here later on today. Realistic assessment, yes. Agree on that part. What can they actually utilize, not just within their chapters or within your classroom, but also within your community? That's a big one too. Marketing, that's a good one. Peer engagement, that's huge. I feel that when we were in the classroom, it was so different, right? When you're in the classroom, you have it where collaboration and communication should be happening at least every 7 minutes with your students. So how are we able to do that in this type of setting? Okay, so we're going to get to that today. I'm going to click out of this. So thank you guys for participating. Okay, how today is going to work. We're going to be looking at 6 different steps. And if you look at these 6 different steps, a lot of these you'll hear they're the same terms and words you guys were using when we just did that poll. The first step is knowing what your why is. What is the task? What's the importance of that task? What are you trying to have your students do? What is the skill development they're trying to build and create and have in that leadership activity? The second step is streaming platform. How are you actually packaging this for your students? How are you making sure that it's easy for them to be able to open, utilize, assess, everything else along those lines? So what is that stream platform that you're using? Your third step is your interactive documents and materials. Things you can give either before during, or even after your leadership activity. And these are things that maybe students can fill out on their own, but it's also stuff they can utilize later on. So it's not just like a lesson, which we'll get to here pretty soon. Your fourth step is collaboration. Okay, so what kind of collaboration platform are you utilizing for your students? Are you having it where they're able to discuss items with a small set of students in a group rather than having it where there's 45 kids on one Google Meet? Okay, so what does that kind of look like? What platform are you utilizing there? Communication platform. Are they using the chat option like we're using here on this call today? Are they utilizing more verbal communication? What does that look like? And the last part, which is extremely important, is the creating and sharing device of it. What are you having your students create in their leadership activity? And then how are they sharing that? Usually when people think sharing, they're thinking, okay, well, they're just gonna give it to the students that are within their organization at the local level. But since now we're doing things virtually, we have a much larger area we can go ahead and work with. So now we can actually push this to even be more of a community level or even a regional level or even beyond. So with that, we have a couple of different things for you today. Like I said, this is not your regular webinar. We are going to be doing engagement activities and interacting, and I am really excited about this. So with this, I'm going to, oh, sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to copy this link for you guys and add it to the chat so you can go ahead and click and create your own. What this is going to be a documentation. I'm sorry guys, I'm going all over the place here. Okay, sorry, my screen's going everywhere. Here we go. Just want to get that information. So it's going to be an interactive document that you're going to be utilizing today in our webinar that you can copy, paste, or make a copy of, which I want you to do. This way you are still, okay. I don't know why my chat is not popping up. Okay, let me do this real quick. Oh, here we go. All right. Thank you. Okay, people are doing it for me. I appreciate that, guys. Thanks. So when it comes to this item that you're seeing in front of you, this is a, I'm going to give you guys both of these real quick. Come on. So you're going to have an interactive document that's in front of you. It's an interactive notebook. I think the nice thing about these interactive notebooks is that you can create them however you want them to look. So please take this, utilize it however you guys need to. But with this today, we're going to be using this as we go through different parts of the webinar. You'll have areas where you can write your own notes in there. You have areas where you can add more information, maybe other platforms that people have shared as we go through this. And then also at the very end, there's a resource area where we have extra links, how-to videos, everything else along those lines for you. Okay. And come on. Again, just trying to get to that chat area to give you guys the Padlet. And it's not letting me do it. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right. And okay, there's the Padlet. All right. Been kind of crazy, guys. I do apologize. All right. So, all right. Okay. So here we go. Back on schedule. Man, alrighty. So when it comes to that interactive document that you guys have in front of you, like I said, you'll see there's different tabs on the right-hand side. And with those tabs, I'm going to pull that up real quick to kind of give you guys an idea of what that looks like if you have not opened it up yet. With those tabs, you have it where you are able to click on them if you'd like. If you click on the far left side of it, it should be able to go ahead and drop down and basically direct you to the next slide of where that tab would actually be. So that'll direct me then to slide 3, and then I'm able to have all my information there. And this is exactly where we're going to be starting off right now. So we're going to start doing the different steps. You'll notice you have notes that's on the side for you. And as I stated before, we're going to be using that Padlet as we're going through. So during the Padlet, I might be asking you guys questions such as like, what are some other platforms you utilize to go ahead and to, help students with collaboration or help students with communication, that type of deal. So go back to the presentation and we'll go from there. All right, so also after the platform, again, like I said, you're gonna be creating a leadership activity. And for us, the way we are communicating today is obviously through Zoom and the videos and the chat options. So thank you guys for being patient with the chat area. It's been a little crazy today. And at the very end, you're gonna be sharing your lessons using Padlet, a different one. So let's go and start with that first step. The first step is, what is your why? Okay, what's that task you want your students to be able to go ahead and do? What is the purpose of this activity or workshop? And why is that important to you? Why is that important to your students? Do you have it where maybe you have officers and you feel that them being able to communicate with others that are within their officer team, as well as the rest of your members of your organization, is really important. And that's harder to do now virtually than it really would be if they were face to face. So figure out what your why is, figure out what the purpose of the activity really is, what they're really trying to go ahead and obtain. Why is that important to your chapter or to your organization or to your students? And then also, what is the task that needs to be complete? Okay, what are the students actually doing at the very end to know, for you to know they actually grasp that concept, that they actually went ahead and learned that specific leadership skill? And how are they going to complete that? So a couple things for your first step one on why. After you figured out your why, the next thing again is going to figure out how to actually package this event or this activity. So what kind of streaming device you're going to be using. And I feel right now, this live streaming obviously is, I think, what people are using a lot of right now, using Zoom, Google Meet, but there's other ways to go ahead and stream and package your information for your students, utilizing websites, doing pre-recorded videos, having it where those are embedded into a website, and maybe then there's a documentation that's attached to it they have to fill out, create, and then utilize later for a collaboration piece. So there's different ways to go ahead and package. And when it comes to packaging, understand that you could easily still use, like, say, Zoom, and then be able to kind of embed other platforms within that. Okay, a sample that I have here for you guys, and I know that, I believe hopefully you should still be able to see my screen. That sample is also inside your interactive page as well. Okay, but this right here, if you can, hopefully you guys can still see that. When it comes to this, it's basically one website, has multiple videos that are embedded. And with this, we're going to be actually adding in some lesson components and other types of interactive documents into this for teachers to actually go ahead and use. But this is just an example of how you can go ahead and actually embed videos onto a website and have your students be able to go to and access those. So on your guys' Padlet that you guys have in front of you, go ahead and inform or type in what other types of stream platforms have you used. So obviously, I went ahead and I discussed about Zoom and Google Meet, but there might be some other platforms out there that maybe you have been exposed to and you've used for your own students that you can share with others. So at this time, if you guys can go on your Padlet and go ahead and type in what other stream platforms have you used? Let's go and see how. Awesome, great. So many good things there. Cool. So we're seeing people using Adobe Spark, the breakout rooms, Nearpod, awesome. Microsoft Teams, Schoology, Google Classroom, yes, love it. Oh, and GoToMeeting. We've not heard of that one, that's great. Perfect. Yeah, this is gonna get a lot of action, I think, today, it's for sure. Canvas, yes. So obviously a lot of your districts already have certain ways on how you guys are communicating with your students and everything. And the nice thing about that is that that could easily be your platform on how you're actually sharing those materials with your students, which is great. Okay, moving on to step 3, because I feel we all have an idea of what type of platforms we'll be using to go ahead and to push out that information to our students. So the next thing is going to be your interactive documents and materials. So these can look different in multiple ways. And what I think people need to make sure that they don't do is just give out worksheets to students. So if you think about it, if we go back to the sample that I used of having a website that has embedded videos on the website, and say you attach a worksheet to that, the student has to do the basic level of cognitive thinking of describing, of listing, of identifying certain things that are happening in the video, but then they're not actually applying it to something, then that's just a very basic lesson. And we want to push students to think greater than that. We want them to actually utilize higher order thinking. So we want them to take whatever type of interactive document or worksheet you're giving them or materials and be able to take that and utilize it in the next step of collaboration. So it's totally fine if they're sitting there and gathering information from that specific video that they're watching, but them actually taking that and using it during their collaboration piece is the next step, and that's when they're able to utilize it at a higher order level. So interactive notebooks, which you guys are using right now that I sent out to you guys earlier. So those work out great. You also have it too where there's HyperDocs, which I'll show you some examples of HyperDocs, as well as Pear Deck. Pear Deck's also a great one to have it where it's an interactive piece for students. Also, if you have it where you're doing something that's more geared towards your students that are, say, your officers of your organization, mail them some information over, mail them some kind of a care package over, or go drop it off and deliver it to them if you guys can. I think students get really excited when they're actually have something tangible in their hands. And if you have it where, say, you have a small group of officers of 6 or 8 and you're about to do a leadership training and you want them to actually utilize things in front of them, then they can go ahead and they can utilize the stuff that you either dropped off at their house or that you mailed to them, however so, and they can go ahead and utilize those when they're in their training. So something tangible they can actually use, and then it just makes the whole experience that much better for them. Okay, so to give you some examples of what's out there, I'll just click on the HyperDoc one for right now. Okay, this one's actually pretty cool. I did add this to your resources in the interactive notebook. It's called I want to say it was out of like hyperdocs.co, but this is CTE digital lessons and resources, all hyperdoc linked, which is pretty awesome. So again, if you're looking at these and you're like, yeah, but these aren't leadership based, understandable, they're not, but you can still utilize the template and the format to go ahead and have it geared towards your actual leadership activity. Okay, so just because I'm clicking on the first one I see. And it's going through. It's taken a while. But with the HyperDoc, you have it where, again, you have the videos that are interlinked to that actual document. You then also have it too, where maybe there's a component where they have to create something. You might have it too, where there's a component where they have to type something in and they turn it in at the very end. Or they can, again, still utilize this for their collaboration piece that they're going to be doing. Okay, so pretty cool on that part. And then end up starting getting into, we'll talk about choice boards here a little bit later on. So some really cool apps that are out there for everyone. Okay, you already have that Google Doc sample in your interactive notebook. So again, if you want to click on that on your own time and look through that, by all means, please do so. And the next piece, after you get to your step 3 of knowing what your interactive activity would kind of look like, then you're going to start getting into your collaboration piece. And that's what we're kind of doing right now on Padlet. Padlet's blowing up left and right. Sorry, the ding that's happening on my end is everybody responding to it. But again, Padlet's a great one to go ahead and use for collaboration pieces. There's also things called Jamboards, which are pretty awesome as well, that I've seen multiple teachers starting to use, where maybe they give their students a link to a certain website. The kids are exploring that website on their own, and then they're creating a Jamboard together as a group and adding information inside there and such, which is pretty amazing. There's also some other different types of collaboration platforms as well, such as Bubble.s, which is a mind mapping platform. So students can go ahead and, as they're collaborating, and kind of mind map. They also have, there's whiteboard apps as well out there for them too, where they can each be able to draw and write on something at the same exact time. And then you also have Google Drawing as well. Communication platform, again, same thing. How are your students communicating with each other? Obviously, what we're doing right now in this webinar, we have it where we're communicating, again, virtually with using cameras. We're also doing it with the chat. We're also doing it with Padlet, but there's also other ways they can do that as well. Google Hangouts is another option, and you can also have students be able to go ahead and create flip grids and be able to communicate through videos on that end too. So for collaboration and communication, and I believe I skipped the interactive documents, but if you guys have more to add to that Padlet, go ahead and add more to that on what you guys have been utilizing and use or have seen. Let's go and see what this looks like. Oh, people are getting creative. Great, maybe you can Google Doc into a discussion board. I love that idea. That's great. Poll Everywhere, which we used earlier today. Pear Deck's great. Pear Deck is very similar to, well, Pear Deck has it where it embeds polls or questions or also other interactive pieces for students when you're doing a presentation. So that works out really well too. Using Jamboard as a whiteboard. Yes, MailChimp, I use MailChimp too. Love MailChimp. It's a great way to send out emails to parents, students, all of the above. Great, we can still utilize the read, write, think component, or think, pair, share. We can still do that virtually for sure. Great. Awesome, lots of good information that's coming through. All right, this leads us to our last step, which is creating. So again, how do you want your students to create that one specific thing that you were trying to have them do in the very beginning, right? They learned this great skill, they learned about communication, whatever the case was. Now they have to actually create something. And how are you going to let them do that? Are you going to give them just one choice, or you can let them choose something like a choice board where maybe they're still doing it together as a group, but they're actually getting to choose what type of interactive activity they get to do in order to create their final product and that whole thing. So it just depends on what you want to do there. And I feel this is like the tip of the iceberg. I know for a fact I don't have, only having like 5 options up here on the screen is clearly not enough. But are they going to have it where it's a Flipgrid, where they're recording themselves and explaining? Maybe you have it where the students usually do a presentation. It's not just one person, but it's 4 or 5 of them. How would that happen? Maybe you do Flipgrids each, and then the kids come together and create an iMovie or make a movie maker, or whatever the case is, to make one video. Maybe you have it where students are having to create stuff on social media platforms, and they're informing not only their own organization, but they're also informing their community about something that they learned about. So how far, or what do you want them to actually do, and how do you want them to create it? So I think that's always the big picture when we come to this. And obviously too, when it comes to the very end, we're also looking for how they're going to be able to share that. And like in here today, we're going to be able to share that through Padlet, because it's an easier way for you guys to kind of drag and drop information into. So same thing, going back to your Padlet, what other creating platforms have your students used, or have you used in order for your students to actually create, design, and get them engaged and actually showing the skill they actually learned. So let's go and see what you guys have been typing in there. I'm going to mute myself for a little bit as you guys are going to be looking at this Padlet. I'm going to try to get rid of the notifications that keep coming through when people. Exactly. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I was trying to get rid of that chiming noise from Padlet, and I cannot get rid of that. So it's gonna keep going. All right, with that being said, you guys went ahead and, again, placed a lot on there so people can easily access different types of applications and platforms to go ahead and use. And now we're gonna start to create. So in your interactive notebook, you're gonna click on the number 7 tab that's on the right-hand side, or you can even just click down to the, I believe it's slide number 10 or so, slide number 9 or 10. And that's where you're going to actually be able to create your actual leadership activity. So if you take a look, and I'll go and actually open up mine so you can see what it looks like. Okay. So when you take a look at your interactive notebook, we're looking at slide number 9. And this is where you're going to be creating your virtual leadership activity or event. So when we're doing this, a couple things to think of. Go ahead and think of an activity that you have already done in your class, you've already done with your organization, that you've already done in the past. And how can you now create that leadership event or activity to be virtual and to be engaging and to be something that students can actually be able to utilize, right? So I'm going to give you guys some time to work on this because I feel this takes about a good, it'll take a while to go through, but we're not looking for really detailed descriptions. Okay, so if I would say, I feel that one activity that I used to do with my students was the one where they would put their backs against each other. One person had a piece of paper in front of them that had an object on it, and the other person had a piece of paper and a pencil. And they were the ones that needed to actually be the person to draw, right? So the person that has the paper in front of them with the object was describe exactly how to draw that object. And the person behind them can't see anything. All they can do is hear. Okay, so that was one activity I used to do with my classes, and that whole thing is a leadership activity to learn about proper communication and giving direct instructions. So how would I do that virtually? Might look a little different. Instead of having it where the students are back to back, I might now have it where the students are, there's one student on the Zoom call and the other students are covering up their screen completely, or they're turning their computer around and they can't see the actual object that's on there. Or maybe the student that is going to be telling them how to draw that object already has the object drawn like in front of them where they can't see it, and he's having to describe it to the students on the other side of the screen. Something along those lines, right? So again, how would you actually be able to recreate that activity to be now a virtual activity that students can still do, will still be able to create something, and are still having the same outcome of them learning that specific skill, okay? So go ahead, take the time, if you guys would like, to basically fill out what your leadership activity would look like. To give you some examples, again, this is pretty basic, right? We're just kind of saying, what's the task? Why is it important? What kind of stream platform, or how are you going to package that for your students? What interactive documents would you might use? We're not looking for specific ones at this moment, but maybe you think I can do an interactive notebook, or I can do a hyperdoc for students. However, so what's that collaboration piece going to be? Are you going to have students collaborate on a Jamboard? That would be fine. How are they going to communicate? Is it going to be something that that they're going to be able to see, where they're able to see each other and get that nonverbal communication and regular communication? Or is it all just going to be through text and being written, where are they going to chat? And last but not least, what are they creating? Who are they creating that for, right? Is it really something for them to have reassurance they learned something, or is it something they get out to the community? And how are they going to share that? Okay, so go ahead and take some time to fill in that information. I did see that somebody said they jumped in a little bit late, so I'm going to see if I can give you that link real quick. Okay. I do apologize. It's a long version of the link. It's not the short version, but if you have it where you are needing that interactive notebook, there's the information for the interactive notebook. And thank you, Lisa, for putting up the Padlet information. Perfect. If you cannot type into it, what you're going to do, you're going to go to where it says File and make a copy, and then copy entire presentation. If you have it where maybe you're on your phone and you're actually watching this like through your phone and you can't physically type into a document at this time, not a problem at all. Like I said, we're going to be having this is being video recorded, and so we should still be able to have those links available for you guys. All right. Okay, so once you guys get done, which I know still, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have need more time to work on this, but once you are finished, you'll see there is an area that says paste the picture here. So you're gonna take a screenshot of this. And either you might have it where you have like a snip and sketch on your device. You might have it too where maybe you're able to go ahead and take the whole entire screen shot. And once you do that, you're going to go ahead and place your picture. So where it says here, you'll click on here, and that will navigate you to a new Padlet, which is different compared to the one that we were just on. I know, Padlet overload today. I do apologize. But once you click on the here button, you're gonna see the Padlet's gonna pop up. Looks very similar to this. Oh, somebody's already done, amazing. Okay, and you're gonna go ahead and basically add your Padlet to where your activity, where you think it fits in the Padlet. So if you feel that it's more of a leadership in the classroom activity, you'll click on the plus button. Oh, look at this, you guys are awesome. You click on the plus button and you'll add it to that, okay? If you feel it's one that's more of a local level leadership activity or event, so maybe you're doing something, again, at the local level, it's involving students that are outside of your classroom but are part of your organization, or even students that are within your district, however so, you can place it there. Leadership conferences, this one's a heavy one, that's for sure. I don't know if anybody's gonna be jumping on leadership conference information, but again, if you have an activity that you maybe have already done before that was a leadership conference and you have already, you've kind of created your leadership activity to that, you can add that in there. And then any other type of officer leadership events, officer trainings, whatever you think, if you guys have it there as well, okay? Again, I don't want to really stop you guys from creating your stuff right now. I also know that we are coming up to, I don't know, it's almost coming up to our hour, give or take, here pretty soon. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, but continue to create and utilize this if you guys possibly can. Because again, this is just another way of us actually being able to share resources with one another. And maybe a leadership activity that you already do is something that another organization or another teacher can go ahead and utilize for theirs. So perfect. So let you guys continue to add information. Try to go back and find my PowerPoint. Disappeared. That's not good. Here we are. Okay, so as you guys are creating, I have some samples here. I'm gonna add those to the Padlet because they are pretty lengthy and very wordy. But again, this is kind of just gives more detailed, I guess, information on how it could be for your guys' activities or what a specific type of leadership activity could be. I have some people asking where the website is for the last Padlet. If you guys have it where you're in your interactive notebook, it'll say to create, and the very last portion will say click here to screenshot and to add. So click the here hyperlink, it'll open up. And good question. Somebody were asking, like, can I provide resources prior to the meeting so they can follow along more? And I do apologize for going pretty fast. I unfortunately do not have the availability, or I didn't have the resources to be able to send you because I wasn't giving you guys email addresses. If I had your email addresses, you guys would receive this information beforehand. Okay, great. Okay, so, oh, and I have a raised hand. I don't know how I can check on that. Okay, and then Sylvia, are you able to unmute yourself? Don't know if you have that ability or not. Okay, all right, so again, when it comes to these samples, I'll add those to the Padlet for you guys. So you can go ahead and look at it a little bit longer and be able to kind of see what people have done before in the past for these. Again, just some really creative ways and tips and tricks on how to go ahead and do some of the things that we already do with our CTSOs or that you might already do in the classroom for leadership. So, all right. So I'm gonna keep clicking through these because I know you guys are still creating, and I want to now kind of jump in more into our, I know, lots of information. Jump more into our CTSO contact information, as well as provide you guys with some resources and updates. So this is our, I'm gonna actually, this information you guys have in front of you right here, again, is going to be on the recording. If you don't know who your CTSO contact info person or who their advisor is, then take a quick look at this and make sure you know who they are. And if you have any questions regarding anything whatsoever, obviously I know everybody on this list is more than willing to help. We also been discussing too as the distance learning task force group that if we feel we need to do more like webinars, tutorials, whatever the case might be for CTSOs in general, like later on in the fall, please contact us so then we know, and then we can provide a leadership or webinars that will help you guys with your CTSOs and what you guys are actually looking for. So with that being said, we're going to do some really quick announcements. And so for any of the other panelists that we have on here, if you guys like to jump in and go ahead and give your updates, I will mute myself.
Okay. So this is Molly Anderson, and thank you, Jackie. That kind of blew my mind, all of those incredible resources that you're sharing. Lots to take in, lots of things that you can, share with your students. So thank you for introducing us to a lot of those great resources. So when we move into CTSOs, right now, this is kind of the crunch hour. I know that schools are just trying to figure out how to open. Some of them already have opened a week or two ago. Some of you are still going to open later this month or next. And will you have a CTSO and how you will participate is probably still being determined. So just know that all of your CTSOs, I think I can speak for all, realize that we're probably going to have to go to a virtual platform, maybe even into the spring. But just know that behind the scenes, you have board members and management team members that are working tirelessly to make sure that we still have high quality CTE leadership experiences. And I think that's across the board. You've got a lot of people working really hard to make sure things happen. On the DECA forefront, so DECA is for our marketing and entrepreneurship students. And if you are already a DECA member, or if you aren't, I just wanted to bring your attention to decadirect.org. And that's a website that is full of resources, lots of ideas for virtual meetings and gatherings and virtual leadership. And they have everything you need, as well as just simple virtual background. So if you're having a DECA meeting and you want to have your background not be, mine's Cabo San Lucas, by the way, not Cabo, but something, that pertains to your direct CTSO. So DECA Direct. And then I think my next slide is on FBLA. So similarly with FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, I would encourage you to look at both the California website as well as the national website. The national website has posted a few things. They have a great back to school webinar, kind of focusing on, now that we're in the age of COVID and a global pandemic, how will things be shifting? And then I'm excited to tell you that this year, California FBLA is partnering with Tri Leadership, and they are bringing us a new platform called Teach FBLA, and that will be a virtual platform and resources for teachers to access resources for their classroom. So I think I don't think we have a slide on CalHOSA, but just know that Cindy Beck is your CalHOSA state advisor, and she is actually at this exact same hour on a CalHOSA board meeting, so she couldn't join us. But HOSA has really led the way with mental health initiatives, and over the summer, they had some great webinar series on student wellness as well as advisor, and they partnered with NAMI, and I would expect to see more resources coming our way from our partners with CalHOSA. So that's it for me. Thank you for attending. I know you all have full plates. So FCCLA.
Hello, everybody. My name is Melissa Webb. I'm the FCCLA State Advisor. Thank you, Jackie and Molly, for setting some precedents. I'm not going to go over that. I was a classroom teacher. I've been at the department now for 10 years. California FCCLA serves 3 industry sectors under Family and Consumer Sciences Education. That's our program name. Education, Child Development, Family Services, Fashion and Interior Design, and Education, Child Development, and Family Services. Also hospitality, tourism, recreation. Anyway, we have been pivoting like all of you have had to pivot, making sure that we're really thinking about our program, our curriculum, our instruction, and honestly, doing a CTSO, if you've done one, if you haven't done one, it will be the best investment of your time, because students really get so many more opportunities than just being in your classroom, whether it was in person at that level, now virtual. We had to host a state virtual conference, national conference, a summer conference, all virtual. So these are my state officers here on the right, and they have been pivoting with me all along. So they couldn't take a picture in person, this is the best we could do, and we're all working through that. But, look at your program, look at the CTSO that best fits your program. Currently with FCCLA, I've just given you a few points. Normally it's $18 per member affiliation, minimum of 12 students, about $250 to affiliate a chapter. Yes, I know there's expenses. FCCLA does offer membership incentive grants up to $80,000 for chapter support. Probably now, if you've never thought about it before, do a CTSO, because now everything's virtual. You can at least, if you weren't able to have the funding to travel, to get there, all of our events, we're pivoting, we're being innovative to be able to provide you resources. So many leadership opportunities for students. I was on a webinar yesterday with 100 family and consumer science teachers, just talking about the ways we're trying to pivot to provide support for those teachers. There's middle school flat rate. National FCCLA, just because of COVID, is going to offer a chapter affiliation. Just learned this yesterday, so it didn't make this slide. We're trying to figure out how to support you with your affiliation, with helping you be compliable with Perkins, CTIG, all of that. So, we have some dates scheduled. If in the best case scenario, we can meet in person, but we're already making plans if we have to do this year virtual. So, you know, I think the best thing is think about the leadership. The competitions are amazing. All of the competitions for FCCLA as well as all of our other CTSOs really lend themselves to your curriculum resources. I've had teachers, I have 3 teachers, one's doing a fashion group, one's doing a hospitality group, and they're all trying to come up with lessons. And it's like, go back to these wonderful competitions. They're integral to your instruction. They will get you through a month of teaching. They're project-based. Students can work by themselves. They can work as a team. You know, so don't try to reinvent stuff. Let's use the things you have, these wonderful competitions that are referenced in your standards for all of your CTE courses. You know, and with every CTSO, there are perks with membership, with affiliation, and, you know, with FCCLA, we have over 26 team individual events. Even though they're competitions, like we say, really they're classroom integral projects. And they lend themselves to all of your standards, food innovations, fashion design, child development. You know, every industry sector has that capacity. And, you know, we are all more than willing to share whether you're a member or not. I've had FCS teachers, they've already mapped out the first 2 weeks of school. What can you do with FCS, learning about your program, and FCCLA? You know, so we have all these great resources. We have professional development. My email is at the very bottom of the slide. I'm not sure if it's showing up quite well, but it's mweb@cde.ca.gov. You know, we have webinars, we have archives, we have resources. We just, you know, we want to be able to help you. The next 2 slides, Jackie, if you can just kind of go there. National FCCLA has already, you know, put together virtual online resources, new chapter checklist, new advisor handbook. So right now, they're going to be 2 slides of all of this information that's already like 1 click away to be able to integrate into your classroom, whether you're really an advisor or not. If you're in California, let me know. Once I connect with you, I can give you access to all of this. So if you teach these courses, there's these, you know, resources there, already there, ready, vetted, ready to go. So thank you for being here. Those are all my slides. I think Jackie's got the handout so you can go through and access those links later.
Yeah, the handout is in the interactive document under resources. So for those of you guys that have your interactive documentation still open, the very last, I believe, 2 slides are resources. And so you'll see that document for FCCLA embedded in there. Okay, and then Skills USA.
Hello, everybody. With Skills USA, well, we've been doing a lot of work over the summer to help advisors and students become, have more engagement, and especially in this virtual world that we're doing. So there's a lot of rollout going to be happening over the next few months of different activities and curriculum and things like that to help with leadership engagement. So I wanted to direct you to the Skills USA California website because it does have that information. There's a lot of perks that go with professional membership. There's a lot of support there as well. And also what is happening this fall is a speaker series. So every Tuesday, we're having someone different speak. It's like 20, 30 minutes, real quick. It could be an industry thing. It could be something from our state officers, or just maybe information about how to register, things like that. So all of the speaker series list is listed there, and it tells you what days and what have you. And our Career Essentials program, it's all online. It's a really fantastic program. It's exactly what industry has been asking for to get our kids ready to be out there working. And so you're able to take a peek at that there on the California website as well. And that's all that I have. Thank you so much for being here today.
Okay, great. And then I believe the last one we have is for FFA. For those of you who are on the call that are already agriculture instructors, I know your regional supervisors have been providing you guys with information, but just to kind of give you guys some announcements of when to be expecting some of our virtual conferences, here's some info. So Green Hand Leadership Virtual Conference registration, that will be opening on September 1st. You'll be getting information and documentations about that, I believe, by November 1st. So heads up on that. And then also for state conference virtual experience, those lessons will be added and available by September 1st as well. And if you haven't looked at the CalAg Ed resource landing page, go to it. It's pretty amazing. We'll definitely have tons of information and resources for you, whether it is for your courses that you're teaching, to FFA as well as SAE projects. So all works out. Let's see here. So a couple of things too before we wrap it up. I know I've had people asking me about getting a copy for the PowerPoint. I'm going to send that to you in the chat once we get done with the webinar. So once I close out of the PowerPoint, I'll be able to actually send you that information. But just some reminders for you guys. We do have additional CTE webinars that we're hosting between now all the way until October. And so if you want to attend the webinar series, then you can easily go ahead and access that and by clicking on this link. So again, once I send you guys out the presentation, you'll be able to access that. If you would like to have access to our CTE listserv, then you can also click here where it says subscribe, and you'll be on our listserv and receive information about additional webinars. And we also have a Go Virtual Career Pathway Conference happening, as well as we'll be doing other webinar series too about how to utilize CTE online and everything else along those lines. And yes, I do agree. Now people are asking me questions about in the future to send stuff beforehand. I completely agree with that. Next time I'll make sure I am able to access your emails. So with that being said, if you are looking for credit for your district, a lot of school sites or districts are allowing their teachers to be able to receive credit when they go and participate in professional development. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this, or you can wait until I give you the presentation, and you can do that on your own as well. But this is a certificate for you guys to go and show that you completed a distance learning webinar with CTE. So other than that, I will go ahead and I will stop sharing. Okay, great. I greatly appreciate all your guys' time today. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever, like I said, I'll be sending out the presentation link here momentarily to you. But on the very bottom of those areas, you have all the, I want to say it's the probably 6th to the last slide, you do have our information. So feel free to contact us if you have any questions. And again, hopefully you guys were able to take away some valuable information today that you can go ahead and utilize for your classrooms and for your organizations. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. All right, cool. Let me go now. I'll send you guys the.
Thank you. It was great.